Today you will learn how to color grade in Lightroom. Basically, we will learn how to achieve several different color looks from just one single photo. So let's start. Hey guys, it's Nemanja and welcome to another fun Lightroom episode. So without further ado, let's jump straight into Lightroom and let me show you how you can really easily color grade photos. Alright guys, we are here in Lightroom and this is a photo that we will play with today. This is a photo that I took last year in Egypt and this is a RAW file. I always recommend you guys to work on the RAW file if you have that possibility instead of JPEG file, because a RAW file has much more information to play with than compressed JPEG file. If you want to know more in-depth difference between JPEG and RAW, you can watch my tutorial on the link right there. Alright, now let's say something about Lightroom. All the tools that we need for color grading or for retouching in Lightroom are on our right side in developer module right here. And this is exactly the same like in Photoshop's Camera Raw. So if you're not familiar with Lightroom, if you're not using Lightroom, you can still follow this tutorial by going into Photoshop, Camera Raw, and use exactly the same sliders there. So there are no difference between those two things. And also, if you're wondering, I'm using the newest version of Lightroom or Photoshop all the time. This is currently, let's go to help and about Lightroom Classic. This is 9.3 release and Camera Raw it's 12.3. So whenever Adobe release an update, I'm always updating it. All right, now that we covered that, let's continue with editing. So what I want to do with this photo, I always recommend to have in the front the vision what you like to achieve, the end result. Why? Well, because it's much easier to move the sliders in certain direction than just to move sliders like a blind person don't know what you're doing and maybe achieve something as a result. That's cool too for practicing, but for me it's always better to know where I'm going. So I want to change the overall look of this photo like this is a Mars surface. So I need to shift the colors more towards the red and orangey. The sky here is currently blue. I want to make sky a little bit more yellowish, orangey color, a little bit darker, and these mountains are more bluish toned currently, and I want to switch them more towards the red. So this is the overall point. So I will start with all the way the top here with the color temperature. I will shift the color temperature more towards the warm tones, so this is pretty cool. And whatever I'm doing right now, it's personal preference. If you're doing with exactly the same photo, then you can maybe go more towards the warm tone, or maybe something like this, or maybe less, or whatever with your other photos. Just the point of this tutorial is you to understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing here. This is really important. When you know what are you doing, then you can do it on any other photo. So basically I want to switch the color temperature towards the warmer tone just to have more yellowish warm look of this photo, because remember we are going to a Mars surface with this. Okay, the tint I will not switch anywhere because I like it. I can switch it more towards the, you can see, greens or more towards the magenta, but I don't like that. I will leave it as it is. Then contrast. I want to add a little bit more contrast here, just a bit. And also I want to open the shadows a little bit, not too much, but you can see I can open it a lot, but I don't want that. I just want a bit, maybe like this, and to lower blacks just a touch. So this is before, this is after. Already pretty nice difference. Then here with some details, I want to add a clarity. So basically clarity is a contrast of midtones. So I'm basically adding small contrast, and in that way almost like adding more details to the photo. So I want just a little bit of that, maybe around 9-10. And texture is basically adding more details. So you can see before and after. I don't want too much, maybe just 1, 2, 3, something like that. Let's go with 2. Then we have the haze. So we can dehaze the background, or we can add even more haze. In this case, I just want to add a little bit of the haze, maybe something like this. And then saturation and vibrance, we will see later if we need to desaturate the whole scene or add a saturation. I will leave as it is right now. Okay, then we have this curves, and here the current one is parametric curve. I will not use this. I will go here where I can add my own points. So I will add 1 point here and 1 point there and just pull it a little bit down. So I'm basically adding a small S curve, so to add a little bit of the contrast. Before and after, I pretty much like it. And also now I want to go to the red and add a little bit of the redness into shadows. So to do that, I need to go here. These are the shadows, these are the highlights, these are the midtones and everything in between. So I want to go to the shadows and pull it up towards the red. In the newest version of Lightroom, you have this visual representation of reds and greens, and also here green and magenta. Actually, this is cyan. Opposite of red is cyan, and also blue and yellow. In a previous older version of Lightroom, you don't have this, but you need to know that opposite of red is cyan, opposite of green is magenta, and opposite of blue is yellow. So this is how you need to move sliders. So I will move it a little bit up, as you can see, and I'm adding red in shadows, only in shadows. See, highlights are intact, but I don't want to add so much. I just want to add a little bit, maybe like that. It's pretty cool. And also I want to go to the blue and add a little bit yellows into highlights. So I want to move this down. So as you can see, I'm adding yellows into highlights, and I want just a touch, something like this. I don't want to overdo it. I don't care about the sky in this moment. I'm just seeing other highlights in the photo. So before and after, already pretty nice difference. Let's go down. Let's go to HSL, hue, saturation, and luminance. So you can go separately with hue, saturation, luminance, or just click on all and you will have all here. So what I like to do is to switch this orange yellows more towards the red. So there are a few ways. I can just go here and push it to the left, to the reds, orange and yellow. Or if I'm not sure which colors are here, I can go with this, click it right there, and just by moving on the photo, you can see right here, the sliders are highlighted. When I'm moving this, the sliders are highlighted. So I want to switch this and to move it a little bit down. And this is everything just by feel, by looking and see what you like, what you don't like. So something like this, and maybe a little bit more of this, something. This looks good. And also I can go, let me see here. This is purple. I can move the purple this I can move it a little bit up towards the red. So I don't want to be more bluish, but I want to be a little bit more red. So something like this looks pretty cool. Okay, saturation, I don't want to desaturate anything. Maybe I want to make oranges a little bit darker, but just a bit. Okay, so I'm done with that. Let's go here. This is where a magic happens. The split toning option is pretty cool thing in camera, in Lightroom or Photoshop. And here we can introduce certain color into highlights or shadows or both. So how I like to do it, you can add saturation and you can see that the highlights are becoming more and more saturated in the hue that you're choosing here. Okay, but how I like to do it, I like to go with the saturation all the way to the 0 and press and hold Alt on Windows and Option on the Mac and just move this slider while holding Alt, and in that way it will automatically boost the saturation to 100%. So here I can see which kind of tonality I want for this photo. So maybe something like this. And then I can push this a little bit more, maybe, let me see, maybe around here, something like that. And the same for the shadows. So I want maybe more, a little bit more reddish into shadows, and just a little bit, not too much, so just a little bit of the reds. This is pretty cool. Okay, now that we finished that, we can go down even more. We can sharpen the image, we can lower the noise if we have too much noise in the image, and also lens correction, transform effects. We don't want to do that, except I want to add a little bit of vignette in the photo, just a little bit, something like that. And then this is a part where a lot of people are confused with. So this is something that is not straightforward, but let me quickly explain you. We have the shadow tint. So that means that the shadows can be more greenish or more magenta. So if we move the tint to the left, you can see the shadows are more greenish. In this case, shadows are more magenta. So with this, you can control the tint of your shadows. If you want to reset it, just double click on that and it's back to 0. I don't want to touch this for this photo. Then we have reds. With the hue, we can change the red pixels on our photo to be more orangey or more magenta. So let me show you, this is more orangey, this is more magenta. In this case, I just want a little bit towards the orange, just a touch. And also the saturation, we can boost the saturation or lower the saturation, whatever we want. So let's leave it like this for now. And I don't want to touch greens because I don't want to deal with the greens here, but I want to play with the blue. And blue will mess everything. Blue will mess red and greens and everything. So let me show you that. If I move blue, you can see there are not blues in this photo, but there are some small amount of blue tones, but the red will be even more red. So this is cool look. If you're chasing for this kind of look, this is awesome. You can even emphasize it by boosting saturation, but I don't want it too much, so I just want a little bit of the blues, maybe like this, and boost the saturation, something like that. But maybe to switch this more toward magenta now that I switch the blues, I'm not sure. Something like this is pretty cool. I maybe prefer this look better. Okay, so this is basically it. So this is before, this is after. What I'm missing here, I want to change the sky a little bit, to darken it a little bit, and to add even more reddish orangey color. So how to do that? Let's go all the way up and let's go here to graduated filter. Let's press this and just drag it down like that. And now we can play with these settings and affect only that is covered with this filter. So I want to make the sky darker. Of course, we can make it too dark, but we don't want that, just a little bit, around -50 or so. And whenever you have a clear sky, this is pretty cool trick that you can add a little bit more color to the sky that it doesn't look washed out. So here basically the sky was blown out, and with this we can bring back some kind of details, color back. And now we can play with the temperature. So with this, as you can see, I can make the sky more orangey, or if I don't want that, I can go all the way down to the color and just play with the color, add any color to the sky. So we can even add that blue tone. This is pretty cool if you're going to the Earth environment and you're blown out your sky and you want to bring back color. But here I want to go with some kind of Mars tone. I don't want to overdo it, but this looks pretty interesting. Okay, and I'm pretty happy with this. Let's say that this is okay. Another thing that we can do, we can go with the brush and just go up with the contrast, go a little bit with the clarity and texture, and just brush it. And with this we will add a little bit more details to the background. So you can see by brushing this, I'm adding a little bit more details. And also here I want to add a little bit more details here. And if I press O on a keyboard, I will see my mask. So if I missed something, I can always fix back. And let me show you one more thing. I'm pressing Go again. If you want more details, you can always boost, as you can see, boost clarity or boost texture and have even more details. I don't want to overdo it, so I just want the subtle change, something like this. And let me see before and after. Yeah, just a little bit. And also what I can do, I can go with the new one and go with the texture down, the clarity down, and the contrast down, totally opposite. I want to remove some details from here. As you can see, if I want to have a harder pressure on the brush, I can go down here with the density and move it all the way up, and now I'll have harder pressure, but it's pretty much okay like this. I will lower the brush size with the bracket keys, and then I want to have less details on this road. This is it. And here where the camera is, just because I don't want my eyes, the viewer eyes, to go first here. And this is basically it. Let's go here and let's see before and after. Before, this is our starting position. This is after. This is pretty cool, nice marsh scene. Before and after. Right guys, so as you can see, this wasn't so hard at all. What you need to do is just to invest a little bit more time and to know what are you doing. And in order to know what you're doing, you just need to practice. So just spend a little bit time in Lightroom or Photoshop camera and just try to retouch several photos and go over it and make it better and better. Of course, you can always go back and tweak some settings. Maybe this is too red, maybe you want a little bit more brownish and yellowish or whatever. This is non-destructive way to retouch photos, so this is beautiful. Alright, now I will go back to Lightroom and show you how you can achieve another look, and that will be a night scene from original photo. Okay, for the second look, for the nighttime look, we will again go from scratch from the original file, and for this we need to aim more towards the blue tones and a little bit darker photos. So let's go back from temperature and go a little bit, call temperature a little bit towards the bluish tones, so this is pretty nice. And then I want to lower the exposure a little bit, not too much, but something like this. Then contrast, so we can lower the contrast just a bit because I like it like that. Open the shadows a bit, and this is it. Clarity, we can add a little bit clarity and textures, but not too much. And also we can play with this, but actually what I like to do, I will go to the blue and add a little bit blue to the shadows this time, just a little bit blue. And also we can go here and add a little bit more green, just to make some kind of a teal look to the shadows. Okay, and can add even more teal here, just a bit. Okay, then we will go to hue, saturation and lightness and go to saturation. And what I like to do, I like to lower the saturation of the blue color and also the aqua just a little bit. There, not too much aqua, so blue, and this is pretty cool. Also we can go with the hue and shift the blue. You can see how I'm shifting the blue, so more towards the purple, just a touch, something like this. And again, we are playing with the split toning, so I will go somewhere over the rainbow, somewhere here. Okay, and add a little bit more saturation there, and also with shadows, add a little bit here, not too much, right? Then we can go again with vignette. This time I can add a little bit more. And also we can play with the calibration if we want. So this is a personal preference. You can go with any of this, but what I like to do, just to lower the saturation both of blue and the reds. And this is it. This is pretty much it. Then I will go right here and add this. Okay, so let's go back with the settings. And what I like to do, I like to make it darker. The sky is darker at the night. Maybe something like that. And then I will go to a new one and introduce a new gradient right here. Again, make it, I need to reset this, and make it a little bit darker, the top part even more, like this, and I'm pretty happy with that. Also I will go with a new one and I can reset it by holding Alt or Option key and set here reset, and go down below right there and make this part a little bit darker, maybe like that here, just touch, not, let's see, minus 10, okay. And we can play with the texture. We can lower texture all the way down, boost it up, but I will leave it like that. Okay, so now we'll press again to the gradient icon here, and this is it. This is before the original file, original color grading, and this is after. And also what we can do, we can lower the saturation a little bit. Also we can maybe go back, and I see now maybe the sky is too dark, so I will go with this one and brighten it a bit. Like that. And also we can have fun. I'm doing this just for fun, so I will go with the brush right here. I can boost the exposure like that and make the brush a little bit bigger, and I can go like the moonlight is, let's go with density a little bit less, like the moonlight is hitting here. Oh no. Something like this. I can play with the exposure, so I can make it brighter or just a little bit. So let me see, before and after, and maybe I want to erase something, so I just need to press and hold Alt or Option and just erase. Also the density for, I cannot change it, maybe here. Okay, so this is pretty cool. Maybe even less density, just to go here. Okay, and we're done. Let's go back and let's see before and after. Really nice nighttime scene. Of course, you can shift the colors however you want. Maybe you want even less saturated. That's perfectly cool. You can go like this, and also you can go down below, desaturate the blue here, and also you can go to split toning and desaturate it here, and also here to saturation. There are so many places where you can make it more or less saturated, but this is pretty cool before and after. Right guys, you just saw how easy it is to color grade your photos in Lightroom or Photoshop's camera. Basically it's the same engine, everything is just a matter of tweaking some sliders, adding some gradients, brushing a few things here and there, and that's basically it. Of course it's much more easy when I say it like that, but it will be easy to you too if you just invest some time practicing it, and when you master it, when you know what are you doing there, it will be really easy to achieve a certain color look. And the color grading is really important for photos, because with that you can push your photo to a certain look, and also color grade will make your photo to tell a story a little bit better. So just practice that, experiment, learn a little bit more about color theory, and that's basically it. The sky is your limit. If you have any kind of questions regarding to this episode, please let me know down there in the comment section below. I will be glad to answer it. Also guys, if you like this episode, if you appreciate this content, just press the like button, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe in case you're not already, and also ring that bell to get notified about all the future episodes. Have fun, experiment, and see you in my next fun episode. Bye bye.